Hello and welcome to another Bodgit and Leggit video. Now we have this Astra behind us, the 1.8, the one I did the previous video on, and we've got to do the radiator, thermostat housing, fully serviced, head gasket, head bolts, all the usual. All the bits are over here and down there, so we've got loads of bits to do. And we need to get cracking on with it, sorted. So what I'm going to do, because I'm a bit pushed for time, and you know, videoing just takes 10 times longer than doing it normally, I'm going to kind of show you what I need to take off and then take it off. You're still going to get the ideas. If I point to 4 bolts, I'm going to turn the camera off, I'll take the 4 bolts off, remove the part, you'll get the idea. So what I'm going to do first is, just to make things easier, because I have to take it out anyway, I'm going to remove the radiator. Now, if I was normally doing the head gasket, I wouldn't be removing the radiator. Because I got a brand new one down there, you can just kind of see the box, I think. I'm going to might as well get it out of the way because it just makes my life easier. Right, so I'm going to remove this panel first. And we're mostly going to have to remove the front grille. So remove the front grille, remove this panel, which should make our life a lot easier to get the radiator out. Now this does have an air conditioning radiator as well, which I'm not going to remove, because that again is more hassle than I need, unless the AC isn't working. And I can check that if I can find it's down there. Well, I don't think I need to remove the AC rad anyway, so there's no need. What I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this. Now these should have had a little thing in the middle to keep these down, but they've all been removed. Well, one of them hasn't. One of them's got it on. So what you can do is you can kind of push them down halfway. That will release it enough sometimes, or sometimes you do have to push it out all the way. Sometimes halfway can do it, but I can get it out. So the way they normally work is this little thing goes in the middle and it keeps them legs spread out, so stops it from coming off. But there was some missing, but that's really not the end of the world. Now maybe this doesn't come off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out what's in behind there. I'm going to remove this panel, which will then allow me to move the radiator. The bonnet catch is going to be in it, but I'm going to leave the bonnet catch on it and just kind of move it out of the way. So once I've done that, we'll turn the camera back on and the dog can see the rabbit. Right, remove the grill. It just slots up down in these slots here. You just lift it up. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 13mm bolts, but you have to remove the 10mm bolt for the washer fluid to get this last bolt out here. This should now kind of come out, slides off the air breather or the air intake, and what I'm hoping I can do is just move this out of the way. There's a wire in behind it, so just for the light inside the car. Just get that out of the way. Just going to use a trim remover tool. That will allow me to get in behind there, remove that. Same thing. Now, just means I can put this out of the way here. Just means now I can get to the radiator, lift the radiator out, and it's just going to make removing the actual exhaust manifold that bit easier. And we remove this intake. What's it going to be, a T20 is it? T25. Again, this is only really necessary if you are removing the radiator. If not, you don't have to do all this. But it does kind of make your life easier. But then we've still got to deal with the AC. And if you want to know if it's charged, if you release this here and press the little ball valve down, if it spurts stuff out, you know it's charged. And don't just let that out. You have to, you know, get rid of that properly, get that sucked out and get rid of it properly. But I'm not worried about that yet. So what I need to do is figure out exactly what's holding this on. I can see a bolt in there. There's 2 rubber mounts each side. I can't show you them because I can barely see them, but I should be able to remove them and then show you them once I remove them. So once I've done that, The other thing is, this is just water that's in here because they've been replacing it with water, so I'm not having to worry about getting rid of antifreeze or anything like that. Overflow pipe here at the top. I'm going to release that. Once I get this out, we'll see, and then I think the next stage, just because I'm right here, I'll remove the exhaust manifold. Sorted. Right, I can't actually get the radiator off yet because the two bolts, they're just rusty and they're going to snap. So, and I don't want, they're holding the bracket. So what I can do is I can lift it up and take the bottom bracket down and have the radiator slide down the bottom rather than lift it up. So that's what I'm going to do. But what I can do is we can start taking off, you know, a lot of things on the top. So the airbox can be one of the first things to come off. Again, because this will make it easier for the timing belt, because we're going to have to put the, well, we have to take the timing belt off, but we also have to put a new one on. So the more room we get, the better. Again, you don't need to see me undo all this. I'm going to take off the airbox, and I think that's, I can disconnect the O2 sensor. Oh, you can't see it, but I'll show you that in a second. So I'll take off as much as I can underneath first, or on the top, before I go underneath, and then we'll whip out the radiator, take off the exhaust manifold, and then we can start working on the rocker cover and kind of get stuff off that way. Lovely jubbly, sorted. It is, obviously the air filter sits there. I've also disconnected and taken out the airflow meter just because you don't want it in the way of getting banged or knocked or anything. There's a connection for it. A T30 to undo the back clip of the airbox, and as you can see, the airbox is out. It just means now I've got a lot more access to here. Now if you was doing the timing belt anyway, you'd take the airbox out, but it just helps because I can now see the torques we need to take off that. But again, I'm not worried about that yet because we've still got ways to go before we undo that. So I think the next thing is to lift it up and to take out the radiator. Before I do that, I can just disconnect the O2 sensor because that can be part of the manifold that comes down. Now, depending exactly how the manifold is bolted to the cat, if the bolts look good, I'll just completely remove it. Again, just because it's out of the way. If the bolts down there look bad, I'm going to leave it because the less exhaust bolts you touch, the better, because you could run into issues. We could run into issues taking it off the head. Hopefully we won't, but if they do look good and they're going to come off, I will remove it, get out of the way. Again, just gives us more room. So let's bang this on the lift, get this up, get the rad out, and then we can get the manifold off. Right, okay, that's what one of the radiator brackets looks like at the bottom. And here at the bottom, you can actually see it, and it's bolted onto the subframe or the front subframe of the car. This will allow me, once I undo it, to actually slide the radiator down and lift it up from the top. And you can see, well, you can't see, this is why I can't really film it. It just lays up top there. 2 E12 torques, just where my fingers are. Then we have the cat here, and as you can see, the bolts look really, really good. And then we have a couple of E-bolts up here as well, to hold the cat on. So I'm going to actually undo them, and that will allow me to move the cat out of the way, because I have a good feeling them bolts are going to come off. And again, it just gives us that little bit more room. So once I've done that, put the car back down, we'll take everything off and we can crack on. Now there's a drain for the radiator that's going into a bucket down below, but also there's 2 E8 bolts. You can just see I've removed one here. There's one up the top and there's 2 more the far side. That separates the radiator from the AC rad, which you obviously need to do. And then we've got one pipe, can't see, but one pipe here we need to disconnect, and one pipe the far side, plus the switch as well, the rad switch, need to disconnect that, and we should be able to pull this rad out after that. Right, I had to take it from underneath in the end, so I just removed this cover. I'm not going to completely take it off, but I should be able to hopefully now slide this out the bottom. I still might be able to come from the top. I just need to get it down enough to clear what we're stuck on now. This is the problem. That's where it's awkward to film this type of stuff. Right, it's definitely not going to come from the bottom because of the AC pipes. So I'm going to have to kind of now jingle it and jangle it, push it down a bit more and try and get it from the top or the bottom or the top, Leon. This is going to be a lot more awkward than I thought. Right, I'm just going to have to keep manhandling this thing out of the way. I'm not bothered about damaging the rad because the rad's already destroyed, but I obviously have to be careful with the AC rad. So, yeah, might be easier to disconnect the fan from it, give me a bit more room. But as you can see, you know, I'm just going to keep getting in the way of trying to film it. We'll get there, we'll get it out. 2 E10 bolts at the top just to get this out, and I think it's going to make my life easier. What a nightmare for us to get this out. Oh, we can actually see the hole. You can see that there. That looks like the fan was rubbing against it. So maybe the fan wasn't on properly. And as you can see, right there is the hole. Just take off the heat shield off the exhaust so the dog can see the rabbit. Take out dipstick. Now, take out that. Now, the AC pipe is in the way of taking off the manifold. Ah. Ow, finger stuck. Okay, we removed the O2 sensor with map gas and an O2 socket. That should hopefully give us enough room now. If you didn't have AC, you wouldn't have this issue. Even now, we don't have enough room. Great. Even after doing that, and I do not want to remove the AC pipes. What I might just end up having to do is just this little bit here, just kind of bend that little bit out and bend the heat shield back. Right, it was a bit annoying. I had to kind of bend the heat shield at this point and got it past. It will bend back, but yeah, frustrating. Now, the manifold. And hopefully all these come off, because these look quite bad. So I'm just going to crack them all first. Keep dropping them. Now, some of them are coming out with the nut and some of them are coming out with the stud, but that doesn't matter. Don't worry about that. Now, I didn't actually undo it. All I undone was the heat shield bolt at the bottom. I thought I undid the bolts that bolt the cat on. So what I'm going to have to do is lift her up, unless we can get them from here, can we? B12, I would say. Yep. Just off camera, Stephen's holding everything. I'll show you Stephen in a minute. You can't see them, but neither can I, so makes us even. Now are we okay? There we go. Gasket's fallen off, but that doesn't matter. There's my other bolt that I dropped. Right. There we go. One catalytic converter and manifold out. So for the sake of just a couple of bolts, I decided to take it all out just because, you know, it is a little bit easier. Get the bottom gasket, and then timing belt next, or should I say the head next. Stephen! Yeah, Stephen! Stephen! Oi! Oi! Miserable shit. Right, just gonna remove the timing belt cover. It's an E10. Oh, wow. Look at this. This timing belt was ready to go. Wow. They were lucky. I can peel bits off this timing belt. I'll show you when I get it kind of off more, but wow. They were very lucky. Wasn't long left for that before she went bang. I can leave that in there actually. No, I can't, can I? Because that's holding the head down as well. What I might do is I'm going to line up the timing belt first. Not that I really need to, but I just want to line up the timing belt first. I like to mark everything with the covers on, and then we'll go from there. That'd be the easiest thing to do, I reckon. So I'm gonna have to turn another computer on, get the timing belt marks, and yeah, lovely jubbly. Right, I've undone these two, which is T40, and I just need to get this up. I have to be so careful. I can break these so easy. Gonna have more wires and sensors in the way. Now, should be the rocker cover off. Staring at me right in the face. Oh, no. Now, has that got it? Now, one pipe on the back we can remove. Just pull the pin out. Pin just slides forward. Don't get your finger caught like I have. Is that pipe released? There's the clip, you can just see it. So I'm just going to push the clip back so we don't lose it. But theoretically, that's why it was sticking, because the dowels have gone rusty and kind of made the plastic. Oh man. This is off. We're stuck on this dowel pin here. Right. So, there we go. That's what I was waiting for. Now my battery or my card filled up, and I was talking to myself, I don't know how much I missed, but what I did eventually get this off. You can see the lovely gunk underneath from the head gasket, or from the water mixing with the oil. I've got a complete new headset for this, so all the gaskets and everything we will be replacing. So now all I can really do, got a few earth straps there, there's the head bolts. Not worried about the manifold yet. I'm going to get the timing belt and see where the marks are. Right, there's my top marks for my timing belt, and if I scroll down you will see the bottom mark, but all I'm interested in doing is getting the top marks lined up first. So this is what I'm looking at as I'm spinning the engine by hand. So what I've got, I know what I need to look for here. Got my screwdriver in there so I know when it's top dead center. I've got an E18 inverted torque to spin the bottom crankshaft. But I can actually look at the cams to know when I'm on the right stroke. So Let's do this. Get this lined up first. Once I get it lined up, I can just cut the belt. So you can actually see it's rocking now, so I know I'm at the top. All right, so I need to go around again. They're not on the right stroke. Now that's the way it wants me to set it up. So that's the way we'll set it up. I would normally, if I was doing just a time belt, I'd take off all the engine mount and stuff. But I don't want the engine just to be hanging there because I'm taking the head off. I'll do it slightly different as I'm putting it back on, but this should just get me close. And what I'll do is I'll quickly just cut the belt off, and yeah, it'll be fine then. So I'm going to mark all this with Tipex. Mark everything, you know, mark the pulleys together, mark the pulleys off on the plastic, mark everything you can. More marks the better, you will not go wrong. We know we're at top dead center, and that's it. So I'm going to get all this marked off, and yeah. Just have a look at how the actual camshafts are. Take pictures if you're unsure. I'm setting up the way the computer is telling me to set it up. We know we're at top dead center on piston number 1. As you can see, these are the marks I put on. So I put 2 white marks in there, you know, 2 on each side, and also marked it up there. So if anything moves, we know we're going to get it to exactly the same position. I'm not going to touch down there yet. And again, nothing can move unless I turn the engine, but all there is going to basically stay as it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut this belt off here, because it's just quicker for me to do it now. Don't want to take off this because I don't want to leave the engine hanging. I'll take all that off when I'm putting the fan belt or the time belt back on properly. I am going to have to take off this bolt for the mount though, because that is part of the head, or it's attached to the head. I'm going to whip off the head bolts, move this forward a little bit, and then I'm going to try and get the intake manifold off. Once I move the head forward, it should hopefully have a little bit more room to actually get that off. Right, so I'm replacing the head bolts, so I don't have to say them in any particular order. They're going to be stretch bolts anyway. So I'm going to crack them all first, and then whip them off with the power tools afterwards. Now, they're all off. Cut the timing belt. If you can cut the timing belt, that is. Now, nothing moved, but it's not a problem if it did move because we have everything marked, but nothing did move. Take off this, and then hopefully I think the head should be free. Certainly looks like it. Yep. Head is now free. But is it free enough? And have I got all the bolts off here to do what I need to do? That was the timer belt tensioner moving, but we had it cut off, so that's not a problem. We've still got earth and a few sensors here. Just connections are so dodgy. I don't want to break any. It's gone really hard over the years, and with the heat doesn't help. So we've got an earth here, 2 sensors, and a couple more sensors to do with the thermostat. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start releasing some of these sensors, just have a quick look to see what else I can do, and then we'll continue. Now, as you can see, I've removed all the sensor wires and absolutely everything I can from this side. Same again, I've removed the wire that was coming over here, disconnecting the oil pressure sensor and stuff like that. What I now need to do is to move that out of the way. Then I'm thinking of taking the head off with the thermostat housing, just because it's going to be easier, I think, to make sure it's definitely put back on properly with the head out. So it's just a case of removing these two pipes here. Once I've done that, I'm just going to try and lift up the head a little bit and slide it forward just to give me more room at the back. So once I've done all that, we'll turn the camera back on, and yeah, hope you have this head off shortly. She's fighting me all the way. I had to take everything off. All the wires, ECU, throttle body down here. You just can't quite see it, but I had to take that off just to get to the bolts for the manifold. Unfortunately, I couldn't really get it out as much as I wanted to kind of make it easier for me. But I've got all the bolts off now. The manifold is off. There's these type of bolts that are on it, they're E12s. You've got two on the edge and another two on the edge, and then just essentially one in the middle of each injectors. But you have to take the ECU out to allow you to get a medium extension in and actually get behind the pressure rail to actually get straight enough on it to take it off. Just a nightmare. So now that's off, my head should be off. I have the head gasket. It's a metal head gasket. It has been replaced before because I can see someone's been in here before. It looks okay. I can't see anything straight away obvious anyway. So that could mean that the head is warped, cracked, blocks cracked, something along them lines, I'm not sure. I've still got one pipe on here, but I'm hoping I can just get this out of the way and actually see what's going on. So yeah, no, I'm just covered in crap. So what I've got to do is one more heater pipe down there, and this is off. Just kind of give you a quick look so you can see these bolts and you can see where they are. So there's two at this end, three in the middle, and then two more at the end. You can kind of see the engine there. You can tell it's been burning water going through it. But what is our problem? So just let me get right down there. Can you see, just see the pipe in the middle of the screen? Once I get that out, I'll have the head on the table and we'll go from there. Right, there we go. I've quickly cleaned off the top two pistons, which I shouldn't have really have done, but they were wet. Just like you can see, the others are kind of got signs of water going in them. The head gasket looks okay. I can't see anything really wrong with it. So that would lead me to believe that the head is warped. And here is the head. Now in part two, we are going to see exactly what's going on here. So you have to wait to part two. Is it warped? Is there something else going on? Part two, we'll find out. So everybody, as always, I hope it helps. Please share, like, subscribe, all the usual. But don't forget, links up here, links down below. But most importantly, don't forget, get your hands dirty. See you for the next one. Sorted.